You see a clock and it's always moving. The second by second hand is always moving. And then seconds turns into minutes. Likewise, your seasons, they move, they shift, they change. Whatever's working for you now, the second is moving to where when you get strong in that area, maybe let's say you're maturing in that area, maybe let's say you got the gist of one area, the seconds, let's use that as an analogy to say that in a matter of time, things will shift and change so that you can get strong in another area that you're weak at. And the Christian faith, we're constantly being shifted and changed to the likeness of Jesus Christ in every area of our life. That's why you're always being molded and shaped through different trials, tests, through different afflictions and this and that. Make no mistake about it, and I know that it sucks. I joined the line. I haven't, you know what I'm trying to get at? I haven't arrived to this place yet, but I'm trying to arrive to a place where suffering, I enjoy it. Like, because you have to get to a point where you wrap your mind around the fact that spiritual warfare is not going to go away. Problems, chaos, destruction, all these things, tragedy knocking on your door, bad news, etc. Now, life itself is not all about that. I'm not making it out to be all of that's life, but I'm saying that we go through a lot of different types of sufferings. The Bible says that Christians go through a lot of afflictions, but God delivers them out of them all. That's what the Bible says. You know, that we're always entering into something new, or we're leaving a place of being like, you know, like shook, right? Now, the good thing is that Romans 8:28 says that after the shaking, or after you get, you know, stirred up in that place, right? It could be marriage conflict. It could be children conflict, right? Your children are rebelling against you, and now you have to exercise patience and perseverance and prayer and fasting and hoping that God's going to preserve them and not let them die with their bad decisions on earth, Lord. You know, and all of this stuff, right? That culture of this age is not going to permeate over into their mentality, and they're not going to adopt this satanic agenda, right? And so we're always being tested and molded and shaped through different types, okay? But it's always something, but at different types. It could be a co-worker that's nagging you on top of you, you know, and it's just like, man, this person doesn't leave me alone, you know, they're just riding me, right? They have a vendetta against me, you know. It's always something, right? The dog, something as simple as the dog just doing its business in the house, right? And you're trying to train it to go outside. Hey, all of these things, they're different calibers, but does it test your patience? And do you have to overcome some character defects that you may have going on? You know, I was discipling a buddy of mine, and he was telling me that he didn't want to, but he was spanking his dog, which is a puppy, because it was doing business in the house, and he was getting irritated and angry with the dog, but at the same time he had this different side of his brain that was saying, hey, he's just a little puppy and he doesn't know any better, right? But he's doing it consistently and constantly over and over again, and it makes him feel like, you know, like a smack to the butt kind of thing, like stop that, you know. And so you can know to do something better, you can know it here, and you can still not do it. And that's the molding and the sculpting of us going through a lot of different seasons, a lot of different testings. And then we obviously have those times where everything's at peace and nothing's going on, and we savor that. We savor it. It tastes so good, right? And you just feel, I'm so blessed, you know, like nothing's going on. There's nothing going on right now that interrupts my peace, right? And that's the time that we, you know, we just like, okay, you know. But the point that I'm trying to make is that the second hand is always moving, which in turn turns over the minutes and the hours, and you grow older and wiser, stronger and better if you're heeding to the counsel, right? If you're learning your lessons, that is. If not, you just keep retaking the tests, right? They don't go away. They just keep coming back in a different way, different person, same scenario. So we have to overcome our shortcomings, and that's the way God molds us and shapes us into His image. And so, lastly, what I wanted to say was, God is always at work. He never sleeps nor slumbers, right? And I want you to know this. God uses the devil. It's not that Satan has a free-for-all and God can't tame him, or he can't control him, or this or that, right? It's that God uses the enemy to help us where we should go. So let's talk about that real quick. Satan exposes everywhere that you're weak at, and he attacks you where you're weak, exposing a flaw, exposing where you're weak at. And he hits you there so much that you have no other choice but to guard and protect and block and fend for yourself, or be completely destroyed. Now, does God allow the devil, like, there's boundaries, right? Like he did with Job. There's boundaries that he says, do this, but don't do that, right? But in the end, the game plan is to recuperate you back into the proper place where you're supposed to be. So strengthen you in certain areas. You know, you'll be put in the fire, you'll be refined, your faith will be refined, right? You'll go through, places like, oh, the doctor says you have this terminal disease, and this and that. And it's like, what? God, Jesus, please, you got to heal me, and then you go through all of that, and it's a season of being refined in your faith. When God comes through, it's almost like you're not the same person coming out of that than you went into that. And so welcome to what God is doing, So the mentality here is this: as you're being tested and this and that, understand, first of all, that it's a test. But second of all, see, like, it's so easy to look at the plank in somebody else's eye, right? Or the stem in somebody else's eye. But removing the plank out of your own eye is usually where we falter, right? The reflection of our actions are usually, it goes over our head. We don't see how we act. We don't see what we do and this and that. So meditating on where you're going wrong is really important. If you're hot and bothered and angry and this and that, it's good to ask for forgiveness. It's good to work on all of that. And one of the ways you work on it is you bring it up and you pray about it. God, I need to, work on this, patience or anger or whatever, right? But you have to acknowledge it. You can't be in denial about it, right? And you got to try to find the root of where it comes from, right? And you got to work it out, right? So then that's something that you're working on yourself with God, on yourself. But yeah, and you're strong in some areas, right? You're fortified in that area, and in these other areas, you're insecure and you're judgmental. You're not cooperating in other areas, and then that's the area that now we have to focus on. And then you have to be willing to say, okay, because in reality you don't really have a choice. You're gonna have to do it, because life itself is going to knock on your door, so to speak, and you're gonna be worked on in those areas, right? Through people, places, and things. But it's to your benefit, And I hope that I'm bringing that home to you. It's to your benefit that you be molded and shaped and sculpted, right? You be refined, that you overcome evil with being good, right? It's to your benefit. So, God bless you guys.